Today I'm going to take a look at what I hope Apple does with watchOS 8 coming later this year. Hello everybody, welcome back to A Better Computer. My name is Matt, and today I am super excited to get to show you what I hope Apple does with the Apple Watch software update coming later this year, probably in the fall. I want to say up front that this is going to be a rapid fire video. I'm going to have mock-ups for a lot of things that I'll show on screen so you can kind of see what I'm envisioning these things looking like. But I'm not going to go into super detail on any of them because otherwise this video is going to be insanely long. It's probably going to be long anyway. But I did want to say up front that I think of watchOS differently than I think of iOS, of iPadOS, macOS, all the other OSs. A lot of those OSs are meant to stand alone, they're meant to be productive, they're meant to be things that you get work done with. And so if the iPhone can do more next year because of iOS 15, that's wonderful. If the iPad can be more of a full-on laptop replacement for more people, that's great for it too. I don't think that's really the goal of the Apple Watch. The Apple Watch is meant to be a companion to your iPhone. It's not supposed to replace the iPhone. When we get to things like Apple Glasses, Apple Car, like these things are rumored to be coming pretty soon down the road, no pun intended. The Apple Watch is going to be a big player in those as well. So it's all part of an ecosystem, but I don't think you're not going to be writing things on your Apple Watch. You're going to be using it for minimal automation, like Shortcuts works with it. But honestly, you're really using it for seeing the time, for checking the weather, for checking things at a glance, and for doing very, very, very small things on your wrist that you could have done on your phone previously. A lot of us will look at our watch, say, oh, okay, and then we'll pick up our phone and do something there. I don't think that the goal is to make you stop using your iPhone. I think the goal is to be a better companion to the iPhone. And basically, this is a long-winded way of saying, I think the problems with the Apple Watch are not what it doesn't do, but that the things that it doesn't do them as well as it could. And so a lot of these ideas are about taking the things it already does and refining them, making them a little better. So let's jump into it. With the Apple Watch Series 5, Apple added an always-on screen, and so the Apple Watch Series 5 has it, the Series 6 from last year has it, and presumably, it would be shocking if it didn't, the Series 7 coming later this year will have an always-on screen as well. And so I really expected Apple to do more with it in watchOS 7. They actually didn't really change anything at all with it. And so the big problem I have with the always-on screen on the Apple Watch today is that it only works in the watch face and the Workouts app. Everything else just shows you this stupid little like fallback always-on thing with a little digital thing in the top right. I don't like it. It doesn't make any sense. I think all of Apple's apps should have always-on display functionality. I think about things like directions. When I'm getting directions, I've got my hands on the wheel and like I can kind of see my watch face out of the corner of my eye. I'd love to be able to see the always-on screen showing me my next direction there instead of having to actually like turn my wrist and see it while I'm driving. That's not ideal. I'd like to have that there. Additionally, I think about the stopwatch. When I start a stopwatch, tell me if this resonates with you at all, but I often will like start the stopwatch and then I'll kind of do this thing where I pull down the notifications a little bit and bring it back up to keep the screen on, then I do it again. It's crazy. Like it should just stay on, the screen should stay on. Maybe it's, obviously like ramps down to showing only 1 second intervals, but just like the watch face, like when your always on screen is on the watch face, you can tap an icon and it straight goes to it. That should work with the stopwatch as well. I should be able to be holding my wrist up. I should be able to see, okay, done. And then that stops the stopwatch right away. It's crazy to me this doesn't happen. It's crazy to me they didn't add any more apps to support it last year. I really hope they do it this year. Additionally, I hope they extend this functionality to third-party watch faces. I think third-party watch faces should be able to support the always-on face if they'd like to. And I'd like them to modify the kind of fallback thing that they have, where it's that digital time in the top right. A lot of us use analog watch faces, and it's weird to kind of have these situations where we look at our wrist and sometimes it's digital, sometimes it's analog. It'd be really great if I had the option to have the kind of fallback one for apps that don't support it, or like things like messages where I don't really want the always on screen to always be on. I'd like that to kind of have an analog option that I can choose between. Maybe it syncs with the watch face I'm using, maybe it's a manual setting in the settings app, but I'd love to be able to have kind of that instead, so that when I look at my wrist, no matter what, the time that I'm seeing is always in analog, which I'm used to. Next up is an addition to Control Center. Now, I actually already did a full video on this, so I won't go too deep into it. You can check that out. I'll put a link somewhere around where you can find that. But basically, I want the ability to pin either apps or complications to Control Center, so I don't have to put them on my watch face, but they're still just a swipe away. So the idea here is that I can pull up just hold my wrist, swipe up, and then I can see the same things that I see today, the Wi-Fi, the battery, the silence mode and everything, but I also want to see certain complications. Maybe I'm using a watch face that doesn't have any complications on it and I want to still be able to see the weather, I want to see my fitness rings, I want to see that sort of thing. I'd like those to be a swipe up away. I can do it sort of with a second watch face that I swipe to the left or right to, but I think that's kind of a hack. That's not really how that's meant to be used, and so it's kind of a weird thing. I'd love a more natural way to add watch face complications without actually putting them on the face itself, if that makes sense. Similarly, on the Apple Watch, when you hit the side button, you bring up, I don't know if it's still called the dock, but it's your recent apps. And basically the way this works is it gives you kind of a bunch of cards showing all your recent apps. What I really love to see, because I don't think this is a good use of space, is I'd like to see a grid layout here. Show me 4 apps on screen at a time. Don't show them on these overlapping cards where there's a lot of wasted space, where a lot of the screen space isn't as tappable as you'd think it would be. The touch targets are too small. They're a little abstract as to where exactly is touchable, where isn't. Show me a grid. Show me a grid, let me scroll through it, and that's it. Super simple, super easy. I think people would get it. Let's do that. Then there's some changes to fitness and workouts I'd like to see, and this is a huge thing for the Apple Watch, so I'm sure Apple will have some changes here, and I hope some of these are part of their plans. So first up is a Fitness Plus feature that I kind of like to add, and so this isn't really watchOS 8 specific, but it's watchOS 8 related. So Fitness Plus is Apple's video fitness service. It's actually pretty good. I've been using it and I like it quite a bit. I'm not going to do a full review on it because I've never used any of these services before, but I like it, and it's part of Apple One, so I'm getting it for free, part of the package at least, so I am enjoying it. What I wish they had were outdoor workouts, so specifically outdoor runs. I'd love to see that as a workout type where I could just kind of start it on my phone, go on an outside run, and they could do some endurance training, they could do some different sorts of runs with me. You can sort of do this with the treadmill ones, but it's not quite the same. You don't have access to changing the elevation as you run, that sort of thing. It'd be really great. I think back to this is super old at this point, but iTunes and Nike used to team up and they would have artists do these workout mixes where they'd record a 40 minute to an hour long song, a single song, and you would just put that on and it would increase the tempo when you were supposed to run faster and it would lower it down when you didn't. LCD Sound System did one that I really liked, but yeah, I'd love to see that sort of workout added to Fitness Plus so that I could use it while I go outdoors to run, because I don't have a treadmill, I don't really want to do that. So yeah, that'd be a really cool thing to add. I'd also like the ability to have the auto detection work faster. Right now it takes about 5 to 10 minutes for it to recognize that I'm doing a workout, and so I get put in these weird situations where, oh, I forgot to start the workout. I almost never do, but sometimes I do. I forgot to start the workout, and then I can choose either start it now, and then I lose the last 5 or 10 minutes of workout tracking, or I hope that it remembers to actually detect it and asks me in a few minutes, hey, are you doing a run? And then I say yes, and then it tracks all that from the time it thinks that I started. So that gives me more data. I really wish this was faster. I've used other smartwatches. The Samsung watches actually do a really good job of this. I'd like it to detect much faster. Seriously, within 30 seconds, it should be able to tell me, hey, it looks like you're running. I know everything's harder than it seems from the outside, but it seems like they should be able to detect when I'm running. And so it'd be great within 30 seconds if they could say, hey, it looks like you're running, this is how far along you are. Do you want us to start a workout? And you say yes. That would be really great for me. Additionally, the Apple Watch has detection for when you finish a workout. It says, hey, did you finish? And again, I think this delay is kind of long. I think they could trim it down a little bit and that'd be good. But oftentimes I do a run, I get home, I sit for 5 or 10 minutes, and then it's hey, did you stop running? And I say, yeah, I stopped, but it counts all that time, so my pace is off, everything's just not quite right. And sometimes I actually miss that notification. I had this a lot when I was going into the office to work, and just missed the notification, and suddenly I had a 3-hour walk assigned to me. It would be really great to, if those things happen, be able to go into my activity app, or my fitness app I should say, hit edit on a workout, and then trim it, kind of like how you can trim clips in the photo app. I'd like to be able to trim workouts to where I could add a little to the end or take a little bit off, so that I could just get the actual workout that I had, get my splits right, get my times right, because yeah, it's really upsetting when I do a 3-mile run, I have a time that I'm happy with, whatever, and then it actually makes it seem like I did much worse average mile because for the last 10 minutes of the workout, it thinks I just stood still. Additionally, I'd like to be able to see the progress of my workout on my iPhone lock screen. So kind of like the Now Playing thing that pops up on your iPhone on the lock screen to show you like play controls, I'd like to be able to see basically what the watch shows me on my lock screen. So that's kind of a progress through whatever goal I set for the workout. That's my current pace, that's time, calories burned, heart rate, all that stuff. I'd love to see that on the Apple Watch, or sorry, on the iPhone, and then be able to kind of stop it, be able to start a new workout from there, be able to pause, like all that stuff should be done from my iPhone as well. It's fine on the watch, but it would be really nice. It seems like a more natural marriage of those two products to be able to do it on the phone as well. I'd also like to be able to see all this data on the iPad. I'd like to be able to have a day off. I'd like to be able to customize my rings more. I'd like to be able to kind of choose. It's great that they added the ability to change how many stand hours you need, how many active minutes you need to fill your rings. That's great. I'd love to see the sleep tracking be introduced into the ring system. I'd love to see third-party apps maybe be able to add their own rings for different sorts of things, like maybe yoga could be added, maybe breathing could be added. Those sorts of things would be really nice to see on the rings, and then be able to kind of customize the rings to what I actually want. Like I would get the stand ring out of there. I don't care about that at all. Maybe I could throw in a step counter. I know Apple isn't really into the step counting as much as things like Fitbit are in terms of health tracking, and they're not perfect measurement of health, but some people really care about them, so it'd be really nice to be able to change out the move ring for the steps ring. That sort of thing would be really, really nice. Also, I'd like to see the stand notifications, which I do think are useful and kind of help me like remember to actually get up and move and notice when I've sat down for quite a while. I like those to be more subtle. Right now it shows a full page notification that again triggers that weird fallback always on display thing. I'd like it to be more subtle so that it still buzzes me, it still kind of reminds me, hey, you've got 10 minutes left in the hour, you should stand for a minute. I would, in addition to making it be more reliable and telling when I'm standing, I would also like it to be able to just be a more subtle notification so I can notice it and then drop my wrist and it's gone, like I don't see it again. Maybe, and this is kind of a stretch and this would lead to cheating, but maybe add a button on that notification that says, hey, you have 10 minutes left to stand. You could say, hey, I've been standing, and you hit the button to say I've been standing, and it gives you the credit for the hour. This I think would be fine. You could cheat it, obviously. You can cheat everything. Like you can hold your wrist kind of like this and it'll think that you're standing already. So it's not like it's a perfect system anyway. If I'm actually standing, if it got it wrong, let me hit a button. All right, we need to pick up the pace because I still have a lot to get to. I have this idea for this feature called Weekend Getaway Mode. I think this is basically if I'm going out of town for the weekend, which will be a thing we can do again. I want to be able to kind of take my watch with me, leave the charger at home, and know it can get through like 2 or 3 days. Right now it can get through 24 hours for sure. I often get 36 hours. I would really love to be able to see just more time, and basically I would want it to turn off as many functions as possible. Something basically between the normal mode and the super low power mode it has now. The super low power mode makes it effectively useless. I'd love to see kind of a compromise mode. Basically, I want a way to get more battery life out of it, but something in between the two modes that we have today. Apple's obviously going to add at least one new watch face. They always add watch faces. They had a ton of them last year. I think the watchOS 7 collection of watch faces is the best collection they've ever added. I'd love to see more of them, obviously. I'm not a watch face designer, so I'm not going to make specific suggestions for them, but I do think that they have an opportunity to update the Siri watch face to make it more useful, because that was a really cool addition a couple years ago, and then it really didn't change, and that was really disappointing. So I really feel like that is a potential growth opportunity for the Apple Watch to become more of this smartwatch that's more dynamic, that changes throughout the day, that gives you information before you even know you want it. I think that they can improve that, so I'll throw a mock-up on the screen here with kind of what that could look like, but I think that's a real big opportunity for them. And finally, we're in the home stretch now, the little things. I want the flashlight in the control center. Right now it can be white, it can be blinking white, or it can be red. I'd love full RGB control, any color I want. I'd like to be able to set that as a flashlight. There's no reason I couldn't. Some of it would be it would just be nice to show a different color. The ones that they have there are okay, but I'd love to have more customizability there. This is kind of an abstract one, but faster wireless transfers. I want software updates to happen faster. I want transferring podcasts to the watch to be faster. I want, just everything wireless transfer related should be faster. Maybe it's a hardware thing and they need new hardware to do it, but it feels like There are tricks out there that like people will say like turn off Bluetooth and then it'll do it over Wi-Fi and that'll make it much faster. And it's like, why is there a trick to do that? It should just be as fast as possible whenever you're doing it. And I think the argument might be, well, it's more battery intensive, but like if I'm actually telling it to, hey, transfer this thing now, who cares about the battery? Do it as fast as humanly possible. So I really hope they improve that this year. Last three, I want to see Scribble Autocomplete. So you can scribble on the watch right now, and that's really great. I like it for those times where I can't like just dictate to my watch what I want to say in a message. Usually it's usually a quick response. I love autocomplete there because that would let me kind of type faster. Scribble is much faster than a lot of other options I've seen, like on-screen keyboards don't work that well. Scribble I think is better, but autocomplete would make that even faster, so that would be great. I'd like to see each app have its own notification sound. So kind of like on the iPhone where apps can set custom sounds for what their notifications sound like. They should do that on the Apple Watch as well. That would be really nice for just knowing if your sound is on your watch, what app is notifying you at a specific time. That would be really great. And then finally, I'd like my Apple Watch to be able to play any audio from the speaker. So right now, it really just makes sounds, notification sounds. It can sort of do voice if you take a call on it. But I'd really like to be able to play music from it, play podcasts more realistically from it. Music wouldn't sound great. I know the speakers aren't high quality, they're super small, I get it. But like podcasts would be really nice to be able to play directly from the speaker on the Apple Watch. Right now you can't do that. Even if you load podcasts directly on it, it makes you pair headphones with it to actually play it. So I'd love to see that just straight come out of the speaker on the Apple Watch. Whew! That's it. That's what I want to see from watchOS 8. I know Apple will have more things that they're working on. They'll have new hardware coming in the fall that I don't know anything about, and so I can't really make predictions about. I think it's going to be a good year for the Apple Watch. I think last year was pretty mild. The watch faces were the biggest addition, and they were great, but it was a pretty small update overall to the watch itself. So I think they have a lot more going with it. I think that Apple Watches are super useful. They have more health features than ever. This Fitness Plus service is something Apple wants to push. I think there's lots of opportunity for Apple to take this platform even further than they have before. And again, not by adding functionality necessarily, although I'm sure there'll be some of that, but by making the things that are already there better. So I really hope we see a lot of that this year in watchOS 8. If you made it this far in the video, thank you so much. Please hit the like button, subscribe, hit the bell. You know the things. I'll see you here next time on A Better Computer.